Hello everybody, Lorien here, bringing you another tarot deck review. So glad you seem to enjoy the last one. So here I am doing another one for you all. This is the Chrysalis Tarot, and it was done by Tony Brooks and Holly Sierra. Firstly, I have to say it's absolutely beautiful, and I was so enthusiastic when it came through. So yeah, it's one that I wanted for quite a long time. I got it, I think, in 2014. I'm trying to think, I can't remember, and it was dirt cheap as well. I think a lot of them are now quite expensive, but the one I got was very lucky to find it at that price. So yeah, let's take a look. As a tarot reader, I like to spend time with the deck before I review it, simply because I don't know its personality. I don't know what it's going to be like to work with. I don't know whether it's going to be, tricksy, or whether, what's going to happen with it, basically. Whether I'll connect, more importantly. So, firstly, the backing. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Firstly, as a cardstock, it's pretty darn good. The only thing is it's very slippy. So, for instance, if you put it down, and sometimes it goes like this, and you find yourself having a cascade of cards, which, probably you would do anyway if you've got all your cards everywhere. But it just seemed like, it's very slippy. But it's then for easy to shuffle. I've noticed actually that with this deck, a lot of cards actually jump out of it. So when I'm shuffling and I've got a question in my mind, it actually goes poof, and they just do what they want. And for instance, if I want 4 cards and I'm going shuffle, 4 cards will tumble out. So I don't necessarily have to go from the top, which is kind of cool, I suppose, if that's what you're wanting to do. Also within this, I see that there is quite a lot of butterfly imagery, which is great, and there's a lot of nature imagery. I feel this is quite a... Going from like the chakra points now, I feel this is more like a third eye above deck, really. I don't know why, it just feels that way for me. Anyway, let's have a look. The first time I opened this deck, I had a shiver. I held it, I shivered, and then I started crying because the energy was just so amazing. So there's one. Isn't that cool? Isn't it great? Look at it. Now I know some people don't like the borders, but I actually don't mind them on this one. Whoops. It's really quite cool though. Actually, let me go from the bottom so you can just kind of see certain things. So the season in which they work best for, I don't really know, simply because they just seem to be an all-rounder. But I use them a lot for my online videos, and occasionally for past life readings too, and just generally looking into the spirit psyche side. I mean, look at that. Isn't that cool? But to be honest, the actual the actual season, I think, is just open for any time. It does look more summery, but then you've got the really dark autumny cards, so I think it could be used anytime. Now, as you might be able to see, it doesn't really go directly from the Rider-Waite system. It goes in, interprets it in its own way. And I did have the little white book, but I don't know where it's gone. Basically, I will show you that. But to be honest, the little white book I didn't find as helpful, and I think there's a bigger book now explaining it all, which I have not been able to afford yet. But I was very intimidated by this new concept and this new thing. For instance, they have Merlin as the Fool. Now I know a lot of people do not see why Merlin is the Fool. However, that suits my interpretation of the Fool sometimes. So I just kind of get that good feeling from it. I mean, you've got scrolls, which is air or swords. You have, I think, spirals, which is fire or wands. You have mirrors, which is cups or water. And you have stones, which is pentacles or earth. So it's cool in those ways. And I love all this moon stuff for the cups and the mirrors, and the fact that it's got a lot of people in it, which makes it very strong for you know, if you're trying to figure out who's important in your life or something like that, or, you know, the personal way, it's really handy, especially for past life. Like I say, spirit guide readings is quite good as well. The questions that they prefer, I think, are very more spiritual based, and the potential of inside you to come through, I don't feel they're as maybe predictive as some other cards. It's more the energy based. It's not like you are going to get a letter from Fred and Fred is going to say, what are you doing next Saturday? They're not like that. And to be honest, I don't think any tarot card really is, but they are very strong at picking up base emotions and base energies of coming through. This is also one of my favourite card depictions of the High Priestess. I absolutely adore it. She looks completely enchanting, basically, and I really, really do love that one. Now, as you can see, a lot of these are upside down. But yeah, you've got a lot of very different interpretations, and like the wind in this one, and the moon plays a very big part, which is something that I adore. That's one of my favourites too. But I do feel that these would probably be better for those who are not beginners, simply because they do take you very strongly out of the Rider-Waite system. They don't play around, honestly. Psyche, woo! So gorgeous. Just going to bring this forward. So this is more of an autumn card for me. An autumn celebration card, just with the burning colours and the darkness there. So lovely. Oh, and I love this one too. They are incredibly beautiful cards. Holly Sierra has done an absolutely fantastic job. See, this is where I wish that I had actually not misplaced the little white book, simply because my cat decided to knock it from the table. But yeah, this, I want to know the meaning of the horses in this one. I might have to actually buy the big book, because this is well worth an investment. The Chrysalis Tarot is so worth the time and the energy spent getting to know it. It's just basically something that I feel gives an extra depth into traditional tarot. It gives you something different to work on, uses your intuition a lot more. I mean, look at that. I always get a Weeping Angels vibe from this one. I do feel they are better for the shorter to medium readings, because for me they use up a lot of energy. Like when I use them for my monthly readings, I have to do them 10 minutes at a time, and then maybe have half an hour and then come back, because they are so, they don't drain you, but they're very demanding of your intuitive sight and things like that. So I think that it's quite a good energy. They have such a light fairy-like energy as well when I'm holding them, and they just seem to be like a crystal in the way that you need to recharge them. You need to kind of give them space to breathe. They do work well with other decks to interpret with them as well, and I think that's quite cool. Also, look at this dude. Isn't he the best dude? Isn't he cool? He's so cool. He's not like the King of Swords, is he? Totally not. But the more you look at the cards, the little influences you'll see in them. For instance, this one, you know, you've got vases, you've got butterflies, you've got fish in the sign of Pisces, you've got the sunflower. So it's all about, I think, looking at the little things, you know, in regards to everything here. And this is another one of my favourites here too. But yeah, I think if you were to start off with this deck, you'd go, what the heck am I doing? This is much easier for those who have an earth-based energy, and also kind of a crystal-based energy I get from this too. It's definitely one that I would continue using. I don't know whether I would buy one to gift to somebody else, simply because I wouldn't know whether they would get it. I think it's one that you either get or you don't. And this is my favourite one actually of everything, Merlin. I love Merlin, and it's a hero. Now see, for me, the interpretation of this card is less that he's the fool, and more that people don't see the power within him. He generates new beginnings. He looks like he's going in reverse almost. You know, he's got a lot of wisdom there, but sometimes they might misunderestimate him, doing a George Bush, they might underestimate him there. So I think that this is going to be something that kind of comes through. It's regeneration for me. So many elements of this card. You've got the snake staff, you've got the stars, you've got the cat, you've got the mythology alone. So I think this is very strong deck, basically. As I say, it's got a lot of intuitive energy here. I don't really connect with this one for the Four of Wands. I think it's the black background. I just don't get it. So there will be the occasional one that you kind of look at and go, oof, I don't really know. And also, look, you do have the connections to the other cultures and things too. But I do feel it's a really good investment. You do have to spend a lot of time with it. I was so excited when I first got it that when I actually came to use it, it did give me incredibly insightful readings. However, I left it too long before I got back to using it again, and I had to restart learning it all over again. And it was very difficult, and I got very intimidated by the deck because I thought it was too big for me. I thought I wasn't good enough to read it. You know, I thought my relationship with it was crumbling. So it just takes time to get to know. It's like that friend who's a little bit like Phoebe Buffay. That's the energy that I get from it. It's very strong-minded. It knows who it is. It knows what it wants to tell you. But it's also very gentle energy. It's not a harsh energy going, you're crap. It is actually, it wants to work with you. It's just not going to take a half-hearted approach, basically. But it is very gentle energy. It's got unmothery energy to it. So I hope that's very helpful for you. If you do want a reading from me, just click below or see the other videos that I've got. This is the second one, so I might not have many at this point. But yeah, I just wanted to show you the glory that is this particular deck, basically, and hopefully it will encourage you to buy it because it's beautiful and I love it. It's not my favourite one, I have to say. I actually haven't found the deck that my heart sings for, but it's pretty darn close. So take care everybody, and I look forward to seeing or reading for you soon.